conference will now be recorded.
Hey guys, welcome to the weekly watch list. Let's take a look at some charts and see where we're at. So here's ES, S&P 500, and we have here a pattern that's very similar to this pattern, and it's a cup and handle pattern. So we dropped down, sold off, bounced around, and then came back up here, right? We did the same exact thing here. So we have a cup and handle. So if we break out, we might pull back to 2970 area, possibly. Even if it pulls back there, we're still good. If we're below 2970, that's going to be a little concern. But as long as we don't break 2943, we're still bullish. If we break that, then we're in trouble. If we break this 2943, then we're in trouble. Then we'll be coming back down here to test these supports. So as long as we hold this area, this is going to be a nice cup and handle, and we could break out and push towards that weekly breakout and monthly breakout. And if we hit that monthly breakout above 2930, not 2930, 3029.50, we could see 3060 and then 381 and 3100 as well. So those could happen if we get a nice cup and handle breakout. If earnings are good, as they have been, U.S.-China tensions keep calming down, and they actually sign the first phase of the deal, then we could see the market rally onto all-time highs. So there's ES going into the hourly. We're kind of consolidating in this range here. So as long as we stay consolidating, then we have a nice bull flag. Go to the 4 hour. Then we're going to have a nice bull flag that we could fire on up into 3016 and 3030. That would be the target for this breakout on the hourly. Of course, that's all going to depend on earnings. So if we pull back and we pull back to 2970 and we hold, that's a buying opportunity. If we lose that and we sell off to 2943 to fill some gaps, that's a buying opportunity as well, as long as that holds. If that holds, then that's a great buying opportunity. 2940 or 2950, those are very strong levels. If they hold, strong buying opportunities there for a push into all-time highs. All right, for the hourly right now, we do have a bull flag setting up here, but we also have a larger bear flag as well. So those two are fighting with each other to see which one's going to take over. Currently, right now, the bull flag looks still good, so that's a positive. All right, let's go into NQ. So NQ broke out of this pattern, and now we back tested it. We're holding that pattern. So if we hold that, we could come back and push back up into the 8,000s. If we lose this pattern, we're going to come test this uptrend at this daily support at 78.23. And that holds, that's a very, very good buying opportunity to come and push up into the 8,000s. NASDAQ's been strong, and I think that it's going to continue to be strong and break all-time. I think NASDAQ's going to break all-time highs before the S&Ps and before the Dow Jones. Going into the hourly chart, we can see that it is in a downtrending channel, but we do have a bull flag trying to set up, but we do have this bigger bear flag as well. If it pushes down here to this level and it holds, I think that's a buying opportunity. So it could pop up and consolidate and then drop down to this support here before pushing, or it might just hold this breakout and continue to push higher. But once this downtrend breaks, that's your signal that it's going to go towards that 8,000. So let's go into the Dow. So Dow Jones has a cup and handle as well. We're consolidating inside this range here where this consolidation happened. It does have a bull flag on the daily, and it's looking okay. It's looking really good. It had some good volume on this push. So as long as we hold 26,660, that's a buying opportunity, and we could be pushing on up into the 27s and 27,700s. Going to the hourly, we could see that we have this larger bear flag. If we get above that 26,829, then we're going to be pushing here to this 26,900, and that's going to be good resistance. But I think that if we have good earnings, that should push up, and we should be heading to 27,000 and more. If we do not break that and we actually break down, we come to this 26,660 level or this 26,630 level, but I think this should hold. Maybe it has a fake breakdown and that holds, and then it bounces back up. Well, I think there's buying opportunities in there. Okay. If it does break down and it breaks that 26,630 level, then it's going to come down here to the 26,530 level. Let's go back to the daily. But it's looking good for more upside. Buy volume starting to come in. Sell volume and buy volume is very low right here. That's a good indication that this is very bullish. So let's go to individual stocks. So SPY. Go to SPY here. So SPY has that cup and handle pattern here, and if we get a pullback, we should just pull back to about 295.70, and we should hold that and get prepared to break all-time highs with some good earnings this coming week, and head on over to 303 and 307 and possibly 310. But it's looking good for a push higher. Going into the hourly, we see this consolidation sideways. As long as it holds, I mean, even if it comes down here, we're still good. If it breaks that 295.70, then we're going to go to that 294.50 gap fill, and then possibly 293, and that needs to hold, or else we're going to come back to 286. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think that this is setting up for a good earnings run in a lot of stocks. So then this is going to push higher automatically. All right, so SPY. So Costco. Let's go to Costco. Costco still in this bullish channel. Still has room to the upside of that channel. We're trying to get above into the upper end. We are a little bit up in the upper end, and it could go to 305 and 311. I think that it's trending very nicely, very nicely. All right, let's take a look at NVDA. So NVDA got above this 188.75, which is very bullish above. It couldn't get above that for a very long time. It finally got above there, and it's been kind of fighting with this upper trend line of the bullish channel. But if it could break that 199.30, then this is going to go to 205, 213, and if it gets above that 215 area, then we could come up here to 228.50. And if we come up here to that 228.50, it has potential to go even more. NVIDIA doesn't have earnings until November 14th, but if it gets good earnings, we could see NVIDIA in the 270 area and possibly attempt to push to all-time highs later on in the year. If the China deal goes through and we have favorable market conditions, earnings are good, then we could definitely see that recover this drop down, as we could see by the indicators that this stock has been accumulating over the long term, or over the past several months. So it's looking good for more upside. That sell-off was on low volume and it held this support. So this one still looks good for higher. Video. LULU. Take a look at LULU. LULU's in this bullish channel. It actually broke out Friday of this bull flag and it hit that first price target, 209, and sold off a little bit, but this still has room to go to 213.45, 216, and possibly higher. Long-term bullish on LULU. This bullish channel is looking really good, and I think that it has room to go a lot higher, 236, and go past that as well. Lululemon. We got CAT. CAT broke this downtrend. We got above it. We're holding 130. As long as that 130 holds, which is that 200-day moving average, this could consolidate, make a bull flag. It does have earnings coming up, 10/23. Now, with the whole tariffs and the farmers not working, earnings might be a little mixed. So I wouldn't necessarily suggest playing it, but as long as they give good forward guidance, I think that the stock can maintain above these levels and actually push towards that major breakout of 140. Once that major breakout of 140 hits, this stock is going to be rallying on up towards 170 and could push hard if there's very, very good forward guidance with the trade deal and buying more products. As we can see, we have a little inverse head and shoulders forming, so that could really shoot it on up to about 160, 165, depending on what comes out of earnings. And earnings are 10/23. So in about 2 days, earnings didn't come out. So this could be a really good mover, really, really good mover. It is at the top of this downtrending channel, and as before, it's got above the levels and then sold off, got above the levels and sold off. But one interesting thing to notice is we got above these levels and sold off, got above these levels and sold off and made a new low. We got above these levels, sold off, and made a higher low. And now we're above those levels again. Now we could sell off and make another higher low, fill this gap before it pushes on up again, or it could just hold this area and then break out. I'm thinking that CAT's going to be a pretty good trade. I'm not going to trade the earnings, but I think after the earnings are announced, I think that it's going to, whichever way it goes, it's going to have a continuation on that. So definitely watch that for, what's that? Today's the 21st, and that's the 23rd, so Wednesday. So watch that Wednesday for those earnings on CAT on Wednesday. Let's see. UDX. UDX is forming this ascending triangle pattern, and that's a very bullish pattern. It still has more room to consolidate. So I think that it's going to chop around for a little bit, possibly. But once it breaks this level of 139.40, it's going to start running to 144, and if it gets above 144.50, it could go to 150. So that's a good stock to keep in mind. Earnings are coming out on Tuesday. Very bullish, and I've been very bullish on UDX as we have this inverse head and shoulders pattern, and we have this squeeze. I mean, it looks super good. May play earnings for that because it looks really, really good, and that could be the catalyst that breaks it out and just makes it run. I think UDX could be a very, very good earnings play, above all the moving averages. I mean, the monthly looks good. That inverse head and shoulder looks beautiful. That monthly has a huge squeeze on it. I mean, this could be a very big, hard runner. I really like this stock a lot. But, you know, earnings are always up in the air, but the charts look beautiful on UTX. All right, let's get into the IWM, or actually Amazon. So Amazon, like this stock a lot. It was, you know, it did have a death cross, and it was looking pretty bad, but now it's starting to actually look good. So we have a falling wedge on the monthly and weekly. We have a squeeze forming, and our indicators are still moderately bullish. So we broke out of that falling wedge. We did get rejected a little bit, but I think that it's just really waiting for earnings, which is this Wednesday. So on the daily, we broke out of this falling wedge, and we got a squeeze forming. We are holding this uptrend. We're holding this support at 1755, and if we continue to hold, we could push up to 1820, 1830, and main target of 1870 and 1900. If this stock is still trading in this area by the time earnings comes up, 1850 lottos for this week for earnings, that would be a good play. I think, you know, it's 100 points from where it is now. I think that Amazon could move 100 points in the positive direction this week very easily, and get above that 100-day moving average. So over the long term, Amazon looks good. Amazon has not gotten one downgrade. It's actually have gotten a couple upgrades to I think it was 2500 and a 2250. So that's all-time highs. That would be breaking all-time highs because we're at 2050. So it would be, I guess it'd be at all-time highs, a little higher. But well, it would break the 52-week high at least. So I think that this stock, as long as this holds, as long as pretty much 1730 holds, then it's a buy. If that 1755 doesn't hold, I would just stay away from it and see what it does. If it's below 1730, then that's bearish. But as long as it holds this area, that's very bullish for Amazon, and I think that it can move easily 100 points or more this coming week. See, BA. Okay. BA. So BA had some news on Friday that suggested that they told an employee to hide some evidence from regulators. Now, if this is true, then Boeing's gonna tank down to $300 and possibly more, because that's fraud. If they intended to hide things from regulators, then that's very bearish. But if they didn't and it was just an oversight, which it could have been, then this stock's gonna rally back up. Now, earnings call, I mean not earnings call, but I mean the earnings call is gonna be very important, but the earnings coming up on, I believe it's Wednesday, is gonna be very important because we're gonna see if there's any cancellations. And if there's a lot of cancellations for the 737 MAX, then the stock's going to just start free falling, because if there's a bunch of cancellations, then Boeing got paid for those cancellations. I mean, for those orders already. And that price is built into the stock because it's on their books. Now, if they're going to have to start refunding, then they're going to have to start liquidating. And if that happens, then they're going to quite possibly go in the direction of bankruptcy or find a bailout, because they're pretty much too big to fail. They are almost the largest. They are the largest employer in the United States, or one of the largest employers of the United States. And the economy will hurt if this happens. If they get a bunch of cancellations, they have to refund their money. They're gonna go bad on their books, and they could sell off very hard. You know, this would go to in the 200s. Now, if that doesn't happen, if their orders are still good and there isn't a bunch of cancellations and they didn't conceal that information intendedly, then this should have a sharp rally back up and push on up. And if they have good earnings, then, or better earnings than expected, then this should pop up and come back in this 380, 390 area, and then see if that breaks and possibly go up to gap fill right here at 416. So definitely a big one to watch this week. Very, very big. As I said on Friday, we have a possible inverse head and shoulders on the weekly, that if it plays out, you know, if this was just news that wasn't really the right news, that it came out that says that Boeing was hiding intentionally, but if they weren't, then it's going to just come back and rip up. So if not, then this is going to come down and continue to rip down. First target is going to be 300, and then after 300, we'll be looking at a possibly push down to 260, possibly. Now, other than that, I mean, indicators aren't favoring Boeing that much, but we do have a squeeze. That squeeze did try to fire up, and it pretty much canceled out with Friday's move. But that squeeze is still forming, so a big move is coming for BA. We just got to play it after the earnings, because it's gonna move big for the earnings, but you don't know which way, because you don't know what is going to go on, and they also are meeting or having a Congress session, so they have to explain that as well. So we have to see how that goes as well. All right, so let's go into oil. Oops, wrong one. So oil has actually rebounded pretty nicely. It was over here at these lows at 252 area for several weeks, and it rebounded, and now it's forming a bull flag. We're holding that support at 55 or 53, 57, and it looks like it wants to push up to 54.50 and 55. I said if we get above 55, that's very, very bullish for the market. If oil gets above 55, and most importantly, If it's heading towards 60, that's very, very bullish for the market. And as we see, we have a cup and handle on the market. So it's a possibility that, you know, this bull flag does fire on oil and we do head higher, and the market heads higher. So bullish above 53.50, bearish below 52.70, very bullish above 54.50, and extremely bullish above 55 for crude oil. And then Valero I like a lot long term. Valero broke out of this downtrend on the monthly, so we're in this nice bullish channel. We had a downtrend. We broke out of that last month, and now we're breaking out again on the monthly and the weekly, and we're heading towards the upper end of this channel, which is around $98. So that's a nice move for Valero to get to the top of that channel. It broke out of a daily bull flag, and then it broke out of that weekly bull flag, and it's just been trending up nicely, trending up very nicely. It's already hit that first target, and should be on its way to push higher, to hit that 94.80 and possibly that 98.24. I like Valero. Had a lot of volume. Lots of volume has been coming in on it. It's been just a lot of buy volume has been coming in on it. Valero makes its money on the spread. So actually lower oil prices is very bullish for Valero. But as oil starts increasing, as it looks like it's going to do, Valero might start to pull back a little bit. So something to watch. It's still bullish in my eyes. I still like it. Lots of buy volume still coming in. So as long as it's holding this uptrend, it's still good. If it breaks down, it's then coming back and test this uptrend here. But it's overall long-term still bullish as we are breaking out of this pattern, and we're going to continue this bullish channel. And it looks very good. All the indicators looking very good. Weekly indicators looking very, very, very bullish on Valero. We do have that 100-day moving average at 92.70, so that's going to be some good resistance. But other than that, Valero is looking pretty good. Let's see. So we went over Amazon. All right. So I said the NASDAQ looks very strong, and it's going to hit all-time highs before the S&Ps. And with that, we're going to be trading the QQQs, as that is the NASDAQ. So as long as the Qs hold this, then we should actually be pushing on up to 195 and possibly headed to 197, 198 area. So I like the Qs. I think on any pullbacks, it's a buy the dip scenario on the Qs. We did have pretty high volume Friday, but it held this. If we come back and gap fill here, I think that's a very strong buying opportunity. If we hold here, I think that's a super good buying opportunity, and that we could push on up, because we're going to have lots of earnings coming out this week. If you don't want to play Amazon earnings because they're too expensive, then play QQQ calls for the Amazon earnings, and I think a QQQ will take off if Amazon does well on its earnings. All right, guys. So went over pretty much all the stocks that I wanted to. Did I miss any? I don't think so. So we'll see how this week goes, but it looks pretty bullish. Anything could change, any news could come out and change all that, but overall everything's looking pretty bullish. So let's have a good week.